A small town in Argentina, a brutal crime, and a mystery that shocked the nation. What happened to Ornella Dottori? From hidden secrets to shocking discoveries, this case will leave you questioning everything. Don't miss out. Keep watching till the end. Ornella's life. Ornella Dottori was born in Salta, Argentina, where she spent most of her childhood surrounded by her mother, sisters, and maternal grandparents. Her family described her as a lively, energetic girl who was always on the move. She was a whirlwind, said her sister, Augustina Prey, in an interview. Ornella would often suggest baking a dessert one moment and then race off to the plaza on her bike the next. She had a natural ability to make friends wherever she went, and her infectious energy drew people to her. But despite her lively personality, Ornella's life wasn't without its challenges. 2 years before her tragic death, Ornella made the decision to leave Salta and move to Tucumán to live with her father. This wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a decision that stemmed from a complicated family history. Ornella's childhood had been marked by family disputes, leading to her being placed under judicial supervision. At one point, she even requested a restraining order against her mother, signaling deep tensions within her family. Living with her father in Tucumán gave Ornella a sense of independence, but it also meant navigating a new dynamic. Her father had recently been released from prison, but the details of his incarceration were unclear. As she adjusted to life with him, Ornella began to embrace her newfound freedom. But it was clear that her life in Tucumán was different from what people in Salta knew. She kept many things to herself, including a secret that no one knew until it was too late. She was 6 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. Investigation. The discovery of Ornella's body sent shockwaves through the small town of Alberti, and the police quickly launched an investigation to uncover what happened. The crime scene itself provided more questions than answers. Ornella was found alone in the soybean field with no signs of a struggle around her and no witnesses to indicate how she ended up there. The police knew that whoever was responsible had a clear understanding of the area and chose a secluded spot where they wouldn't be seen. As investigators pieced together Ornella's final moments, they discovered something chilling. She had been 6 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. This fact raised new questions about whether the pregnancy played a role in the crime. Was the father involved in her death? Was there someone in her life who had a motive to harm her? The police interviewed friends, family, and neighbors, hoping to uncover any details that could explain Ornella's last day. They learned that she had often spent nights away from home, staying with friends or wandering around town. Her father was questioned, but he couldn't provide any concrete leads. One crucial tip came from a local shopkeeper, who mentioned seeing Ornella with a young man known as Pamela just hours before her disappearance. This lead put a name on the police radar: José Luis Gomes, a 25-year-old man with a minor criminal record. As the investigation deepened, the police began to focus more on Gomes, who had been seen with Ornella earlier that day. Was he just a friend, or was he involved in something darker? With no clear physical evidence linking him to the crime scene, the investigation into Gomes and other possible suspects continued, but the mystery of Ornella's death remained unsolved. Suspects. As the investigation unfolded, several potential suspects emerged, each with their own connection to Ornella. The first was José Luis Gomes, known as Pamela, a 25-year-old man who was seen with Ornella on the morning of April 10th, just hours before she disappeared. He had a minor criminal record and a reputation for being rough around the edges. The police quickly brought him in for questioning, and although he admitted to knowing Ornella, his story was inconsistent. Gomes claimed that they had parted ways near the plaza around noon, but security footage and witness statements placed him with her much later that day, leading investigators to question his alibi. Despite the suspicions surrounding Gomes, the police knew better than to focus solely on him. Ornella's life had been complex, and there were other people who might have been involved. One rumor that surfaced was the possibility that the local police officer had been romantically involved with Ornella and might even have been the father of her unborn child. The police quietly investigated this lead, interviewing officers at the local precinct, but found no concrete evidence to support the claim. Another potential suspect was a man named Facundo, whom Ornella had been romantically linked to. While Facundo initially denied any involvement, the police kept him on their radar, especially since Ornella had been secretive about her pregnancy and the identity of the father. However, Facundo's alibi checked out, and he was soon cleared of any suspicion. The investigation took a dramatic turn when a local teenager provided a tip that put Gomes even closer to the crime scene. The teenager claimed that Gomes had been seen near Route 38 in the afternoon, contradicting his earlier statements about where he had been. This new information pushed Gomes back into the spotlight, making him the primary suspect. But just when the investigation seemed to have its focus, a new piece of evidence emerged that would change everything: the discovery of Ornella's missing phone. This lead would shift the investigation away from Gomes and directly onto someone else, someone who had evaded suspicion up until that point: Gustavo Perito Carrero. Trial outcome. After months of investigation, the case took a dramatic turn when the missing piece of evidence, Ornella's phone, was discovered. The phone, which had been absent from the crime scene and from Gomes' possession, was found in the hands of Gustavo Perito Carrero, a local troublemaker with a history of petty theft and minor criminal offenses. Carrero had sold the phone to a young man just a day after Ornella's body was discovered. This crucial piece of evidence placed Carrero directly at the center of the investigation. The police quickly obtained a warrant for Carrero's arrest, and after a brief manhunt, they tracked him down to a rural area outside Alberti. When confronted, Carrero was cold and defiant, but his story quickly unraveled. He claimed that Ornella had asked him to sell the phone for her, but investigators found this claim to be highly suspicious. Why would Ornella, who was inseparable from her phone, ask him to sell it? Furthermore, the timeline didn't add up, and Carrero's attempt to distance himself from the crime fell apart under scrutiny. As the trial began in December 2018, the prosecution built a strong case against Carrero. They presented evidence that included soil samples from the shoes that matched the field where Ornella's body was found, as well as a jacket seized from his hideout that contained bloodstains later confirmed to be Ornella's. The most damning evidence was the phone, which had been wiped clean but could be traced back to Ornella. The prosecution argued that Carrero's motive for the crime was tied to Ornella's pregnancy. They believed that Carrero, possibly involved with Ornella or even the father of her unborn child, had acted out of jealousy or fear of responsibility. The case was marked by a violent confrontation that escalated into a brutal attack. Carrero was charged with homicide aggravated by femicide and sexual abuse. Despite his defense's attempts to challenge the evidence and create doubt, the jury found Carrero guilty on December 14, 2018. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. The trial's outcome brought some closure to Ornella's family, but the mystery surrounding her pregnancy and the identity of the father remained an unresolved thread. The case also highlighted the issue of femicide in Argentina, a tragic reminder of the dangers women face and the fight for justice that continues. The chilling truth about Ornella's death has been uncovered, but the mysteries surrounding her life and pregnancy still linger. Want more spine-tingling cases? Stay tuned for our next video. Caution: this case made me question humanity. True crime documentary. See you soon.